Welcome to a new episode of Ayahuasca, Castles, and Other Magic. My name is Manuela.
My name is Zenika, and today we are going to talk about Master Plan Dieta, our experience with it, and how to choose a shaman. So, what are master plans? Master plans are trees or plants that grow in Amazon and have very strong spirit. So you can go to Amazon to work with the shaman and have this beautiful opportunity to connect with this spirit and to work with them and receive lots of wisdom and knowledge and even deep healing for your spiritual or physical or emotional bodies. Every plant, every spirit has a different character and they have different tools to work with you. So when you start this Dieta, it's called Dieta in Amazon. And when you start this Dieta, you actually commit to staying a little bit in isolation. You don't really contact and connect with other people, especially people in your normal daily life. So you isolate yourself, you start to focus on yourself, you start to focus on the plant, on the spirit, and you make really connection under the guidance of the shaman. Usually this dieta can be 10 days or even up to a year if you want to really study and go deeper in it. So when you start to work with this plant, you usually open the dieta with the ayahuasca ceremony. Not all dietas are connected with ayahuasca, but very often it is. And so the shaman sings Icaro to you and invites the plant spirits to start to work with you. And you commit, and the better you do your work, you are more committed to working with the plant, you are more focused on it, and you really restrain from things that could intervene in this connection. The spirit kind of starts to trust you better and deeper and opens much more to you and shows you even maybe the realm where they live and teaches you a lot of things and helps you to heal all kinds of things in your life, in your body. And it's a very special connection, very intimate relationship that you create with this plant spirit, and it will always stay with you. So me, I have experienced 2 dietas, one with Noya Rao only in Amazon, which was very, very special. And my first dieta was here in Mexico with a person that facilitated this medicine here. And it was also Noya Rao and Bobinsana. And Manuela, you have incredible stories about your dieta, so let's just cut to that.
I dieted Noya Rao and Bobinsana as well, here in Mexico together, and then Chiric Sanango, and again Bobinsana in Peru when we were there together. And very often these plants actually call you, which happened to me the first time with a dream about 2 years before I did my actual diet. I had a vision of Noya Rao and Bobinsana dancing by a river and talking to me in a different language. And I didn't know what kind of spirits these were back then. So when I woke up, I tried to Google and find out what I was seeing in my dream. And one thing that was really recognizable about one of the spirits is that she was giving a lot of light and she kind of looked like a tree. So that's what I Googled, and I found a story about a tree that you can diet, which is Noya Rao, about how when she loses her leaves, they glow in the dark. And then the next day I found out that the shaman that we were working with was actually dieting her in the Amazon at that point when I had that dream. That's what led me to actually wanting to diet and learn more from these plants. And very often it also can happen that people start to talk to you a lot about diets and plants. And even with ayahuasca, I think it happens a lot, which is kind of like how you know that the plants are calling you. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, that's what, like, that was my first diet, which was really beautiful and really difficult at the same time. And it made me realize that I want to work more with different plants and the same plants and learn more from these spirits. So at the beginning of this year, I embarked on a journey to go to the Amazon. And I spent many months trying to find the best place to do a diet. I wanted to do a long diet. I wanted to do more than a month. So I did a lot of research. I contacted different retreat centers, different shamans. I asked the people we work with here in Mexico to give me recommendations. And at some point, I found a girl on Facebook that had a photo with the Bobinsana flowers. And I was like, this girl knows something. So I sent her a friend request and I messaged her, and she recommended me a retreat center that she was in Peru. And I contacted them, and it looked very beautiful. It was a very renowned shaman that was working there who did a lot of good things for the community. And they messaged me back saying that they didn't have any retreats happening in the period that I wanted to go. And they gave me some other contact information. So I messaged this other person who was kind of working as a facilitator for a shaman who did like private one-on-one diets. And I was in contact with her for, I think, 2 months, like asking like everything. I want to know everything, asking how the accommodation was, how she found this woman that was working as the shaman. And, I did my research and it felt really good. And then...
And then you went.
And then I went. So they made me a lot of promises saying that I would be in a retreat center that local shamans used to put people in for diets. And there would be a really beautiful maloka where we do the ceremonies, and it would be her and another woman holding the space. And everything was it just sounded really great.
Yeah, I trusted this as well.
Yeah.
And it felt good, although I was, as
You're
a
my
mom, I
mom,
was
yeah.
always worried, but still I trusted also your intuition,
Yeah.
and it sounded perfect. It was like known people were working there, even a shaman that is doing like documentaries that would be working with you,
Exactly,
right?
yeah.
Or his son or everything. So it sounded really good.
Yeah. And then I went, and they picked me up at the airport, and they brought me to her house, which was in Pucallpa. And it's like it's a big city actually in the middle of the Amazon, and it's just crazy. Like there's so much noise, so many people, so much like different energy, and there's also a lot of poverty there. So, the things, the houses and everything, they're not in best condition. And so she brought me to her house, and it was her husband was sitting there drinking beer, watching TV, and she had like 3 or 4 little boys running around, and her niece was there, and her grandmother was there, and her sister was there. And it was a really small house, and they didn't have furniture. Like they just had a hammock and a fridge and stuff. And it was, I think, 2 open spaces. And yeah, and then just like in the middle of the city. And then she told me, oh, okay, this is where we're going to do the ayahuasca ceremonies. And I would be there for about 40 days, and we'd have a ceremony every other night. So 20 ceremonies in total. And it just felt so horrible to me. Like, apart from the fact that I was lied to and was being scammed, like just that place, and like being in such a sensitive state with the medicine, and like being in a place like that just didn't feel right to me. And then they brought me to their accommodation, which was like a 20-minute drive. And it wasn't really in the jungle. It was just like a farm that like had 2 cabins on it, and they rented one of them for me. And there was a lot of people that were working there, and there was cows next to me and stuff. And it just was not like the experience that I was promised at all. And in that moment, I was like, I feel like I need to leave, but I'm really scared to leave because like I started questioning myself if I'm like feeling the right things, if I'm being dramatic, if like, what's going on. I just arrived from like a 10-hour flight, I think, as well. So I was really tired, and I called you, and I was like explaining the situation, and I started to cry, and I'm like, I really feel like I need to leave, but like I don't know what to do, because like I don't want to go back. I came all this way to do this diet and to work with these plants, and everything just came crashing down. And then she was like, I'll come get you. Like, you need to leave. Like, get out of there right now. I don't trust these people.
No.
So from Mexico, they actually booked me a hotel back in Pucallpa in the city. That was really nice. And that was a lot more like what I was promised and what I was actually at. And yeah, I told, like, I was still with the lady that was like pretending to be the shaman. And I told her, like, I don't want to do this. Like, this is not what I signed up for at all. And she was so genuinely confused about it. So in that moment, I realized that this facilitator that I was communicating with was just like lying to me, but then also lying to her,
Yeah.
so that like I would come there. And then,
Yeah.
yeah, it was just crazy. And so like we left, and then I got to my hotel, and I started like trying to figure out what to do. And so we're like my mom and her husband, and they found this really amazing place in Iquitos, which is like a 1 hour flight, and also in the Amazon. Everything looked great, and it actually ended up being really great as well. And they only had one more spot available, and it was 26 days, and it was in the period that I was still there, like with my flights and everything. So I was like, okay, this is amazing. It sounds really great. It looks really beautiful. And then we found out that some people from our community here actually went there and worked with him, and I trusted this. But then the crazy thing is that like the next morning I woke up and I was so sick. And like I haven't been that sick in years. Like I was having a really high fever, and I was having weird dreams, and like it's just like I didn't really, like, sometimes I'd wake up and I wasn't like really aware of like, was I conscious or was I still dreaming, like kind of losing this like sense of reality. So I was there for like in that state, I think, for like 2 or 3 days, and then I had to move hotels because this hotel was full. And it was just a really weird, energetical, like almost felt kind of like an attack from like these people that I was supposedly staying with. Yeah, it was a crazy journey. And then at some point you messaged me and like told me that you'd messaged them, that like, they only have one more spot available, but if there's an opportunity for you to join, that you would love to. And they wrote back that, because we're mother and daughter, you're very welcome. So then we met up in Iquitos.
Yeah.
Which was also a journey.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Yeah, so this your journey, obviously, I would like to share that Manuela was going to work with Ayahuasca, which is a very powerful tree, and this tree, this spirit, can help you and teach you and protect you when you are working in the shamanic realms, and it's also can give you tools to protect yourself, to become invisible for dark energies or this kind of things. So that's why, we did a lot of ceremonies in last 2.5, 3 years, and that's why you chose to work with this tree. And it's also felt a little bit like the tree was even, it was teaching you when you came there, it was teaching you how to protect yourself. Because, and I think this is very important to talk about for people that are listening, wherever you go, you need to listen to your intuition. Because you can feel fear and resentment to work with medicine, and then it can come from your ego, but it can also be situation like this. Like, I can't imagine, I had visions after that. I had visions of how you would be messed up if you'd stay.
Yeah, me too.
And if you would, I could see your face and how you looked and how you felt your energy and dark circles and everything under the eyes if you would have stayed, because it would totally mess you up.
Yeah, I feel like it would take me years to like recover from that.
Yeah, and this kind of things happen to people because they go and they don't know any better.
Yeah.
But we are here in this beautiful part of Mexico and Quintana Roo. We have jungle around us. We are here in our castle. We have such a beautiful surrounding and very loving people when we have ceremonies here. We are spoiled, right?
Yeah,
we are spoiled with the ceremonies that we attend to.
For sure, and I feel like sometimes we kind of live in this bubble of like everything's nice and pretty and everyone is trustworthy.
Yeah, exactly.
You go out in the real world and you find out that it's not like that.
Exactly, and you do read sometimes of stories on Facebook or wherever. People have incredible stories what they have went through. So I feel like we are very blessed and we are super grateful for where we are and how we found this community and how we journeyed with the ayahuasca, and very protected. So this is very important part, that people really listen to their intuition and understanding, okay, you can come somewhere where everything is okay and you can still feel like, oh no, I have to leave. Like we had this girl in our retreat that came into the ceremony, and in last moment she started to doubt herself and wanted to take cab and leave, even though she already drank the medicine. And people can get into panic, but it's totally different situation. That's really like your inner fears, your ego is fighting the medicine, doesn't want to surrender, because you are doing something totally new, especially for the first time. And your nervous system is like crazy, and all of that, because there is a lot of fear in ourselves to release, to let go of control, and to allow the medicine to really work with you. But this situation was really dangerous and was totally different. And I know I told Manuela, like, put a pin on put your location online, and I need to follow you and tell them they have to bring you to the hotel and everything. And in the end, everything worked well. And my husband, he was like, okay, I am going to send a message if they accept her, and I'm sending a message, and you have to go there and you have to do this with her. And it was incredible experience to do it together. The accommodation was really neat. Still like a little bit spoiled, Western toilet. Sometimes you hear people go to really like in a jungle, and they have to walk into the jungle to
or they
for
just
the
get
bathroom.
They just get a bucket when they arrive. Here's your bathroom.
Really? Oh God, I didn't even know that. So still like a really good, a beautiful place. So for us to be there together and have this experience together for the first time, that was really powerful. Because our first diets here, we were separate. Like you went to the first one, I couldn't make it in that time. And then I went on my own to the second one, which was also beautiful, but you can't compare it.
No, not at all.
So when I arrived, I was sure I'm going to work with Chuyachaki, which is a tree, a spirit that protects the trees. And he really loves people that love and respect the forest, right? And he can be a little bit tricky with people that don't respect it. And, there are some legends and stories. And I was really interested in working with this spirit. And then we went to the shore to visit Noya Rao, like 8-minute walk from his house in the jungle. And we came there, and I saw her for the first time, and I just started to cry. And I was so overwhelmed with her beauty and the power. And I was like, of course you called me. Of course I'm going to work with you. And it was really strange to me, because I already did Noya Rao Dieta before, and I didn't think obviously you can diet plants as often as you want, but I didn't feel like, I need to do it again, because I had the first time super strong and beautiful experiences with her, and I received lots of knowledge and lots of love, and that's also very important to share. Noya Rao is a tree of love. She is the spirit with the highest frequency, highest consciousness, and she's very rare. Like, people found these leaves on the ground, and that's how they found the tree, and they are protective of it. Like, nobody really knows where they grow. So to be able to visit her and work with her in the same place, it's incredible. And she is a true heart opener, and she teaches you self-love in the first place, and of course love for everything else and everyone else. And so I was surprised and overwhelmed, and I had really a beautiful experience with her there. And I saw her during one ayahuasca ceremony, when ayahuasca told me, go pee. And I was like, why? I don't want to go. And she was like half an hour telling me, like, go, but if you don't want to go, okay. But the longer it takes, to visit Noya Rao. And at some point I went, and I saw her sitting outside, like this beautiful fairy with long hair, and she was showing me her foot, and she was like, look, how pretty. And she had all these leaves around her ankle, and it was real beautiful. And then I came to tell you, and you came with me, and you saw her as well, right?
So she was real.
But she was there just in that moment. And this is beautiful. This is what I mean, that plants can invite you into their realm. They can you know, and when you drink ayahuasca, she blocks your mind that is telling you that this is not real and this can't be. And in ayahuasca, everything is possible, and you can travel through all these different realms, and everything is one.
Yeah.
And you can have these beautiful encounters, and that makes it so magical for me, right? It's like living a fairy tale when you are working with all these medicines. And, you had some really interesting experience with your Bobinsana as well when she took you to this. Like, I remember I saw you at the toilet after in the ceremony.
Like the difficult one.
Yeah, and
Oh,
you
no.
were telling me about your journey, and you were like so white, and I became so afraid
God,
of
it
what
was
was happening
horrible.
with you. Yeah, so
Yeah,
even
so I had a vision of the Bobinsana flower, and like she was really big and towering over me, and it was really beautiful, and she was showering me in all these little Bobinsana flowers, and like I felt it as if she was giving me her love. And then she asked me like, do you want to go to my world? And I was like, yeah, of course. So she took me down like a tunnel, and it started to become really dark really quickly. And suddenly there were these like two little like creatures that were like smiling as if they were like gonna do something really horrible to me. And I was like, I don't really trust this anymore. And they were like, no, 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 come with us. It's gonna be really nice. And I was like, are you sure? And they were like, yeah, come, trust. And I was like, okay, okay. And then we were just going through so many like tunnels and ladders, and it was really dark. And suddenly I end up in like a hole somewhere, like as if I'm like at the end of a cave and there's like nowhere to go. It's just like a hole, and it's really deep underneath the ground. And I got there by like a slide that they pushed me in, and there was no way out. Like, and I was like, at some point I realized that like in the ceremony, in the medicine, I can create something to get out of that hole, like a ladder. And then I realized, like, even if I get out, like, I have no idea where I am. Like, I was like, it felt like I was completely lost in another dimension. And I didn't know how to, like, go back to, like, this world, like, this realm that we live in. Like, it was really, really scary. And I tried, I think, for, like, an hour or something to, like, figure out what to do. And at some point, like, I always felt kind of like the most part of like my spirit, the biggest part of my spirit decided to like, okay, we need to leave this part behind and like with my consciousness, like go back to your body. And then I got back to the ceremony, and I was like so sad that there was like a little part of me like stuck somewhere that I don't know how to get to. Yeah, and so then I met you at the bathroom, and I told you about it, and then I had to throw up after that because it was just like the energy of like what was done to me by these creatures just was so disgusting. And I realized that most things that happen in ceremony are like a representation or a metaphor or something for something in your life. And with this, I was just so confused. I'm like, what happened to me? You know, every plant has kind of like a light side and also a dark side. And sometimes you can meet the dark side. Doesn't mean you do anything bad or you're a bad person or whatever. It's just like within a person, you know, when the way I see it, like when you're in a relationship with someone, at some point in the relationship, you start to see like the things that they don't show you at first, the ugly. And that's what it felt like kind of happened with her, which is like an honor kind of for me. And he told me that most likely, you know, someone in the ceremony was having like a really hard process, and it crossed over into my journey and like turned everything upside down. And then later, like months later, I realized that actually what I saw was a representation of something in my life where like when I was 20, I had to leave Australia very abruptly, and I was never able to go back. And a lot of my things and clothes and cameras and stuff like that were left behind. And I always felt like there's a piece of me that is there, and I never got to bring her back. Retrieve, yeah.
Yeah.
And so that was that.
Yeah.
But that was like one of the most traumatizing things I think I've experienced with the medicine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is the thing, sometimes medicine can be traumatizing. I mean, I was traumatized by ayahuasca in my last ceremony of the Dieta here, when she was so strong and she brought me into this place, like I can't even describe it, but it was like colors and shapes and all of that and tunnels and everything was moving and moving, and I was like, just please stop, I don't want to see this anymore, like it doesn't even make sense, what is it? You can't even make anything out of it. And I was begging and praying, and then she told me, like, if you can't, deal with it anymore, you can always throw up. And I usually never purge. I was like, okay, let's try. So I put, like put my finger in my throat, and I'm like, okay, it will be better. So I do my best to purge, and it didn't change. And I close my eyes, and I'm like, I'm not looking anymore, but it's still there. It's everywhere. It's in your mind. It's in your head. And I was like, please stop. I will be traumatized by this. Like, it was so difficult. I never ever experienced something so really like horrible, and I didn't know how to stop it. And then the facilitator started to play my favorite song, and it was done. And I was begging her, like, please find a way out of this, please find. And I realized actually that it was her stuck in something. And through all my journeys and teachings that I received from her and our conversations that I had with her multiple times, I understood that she went through horrible things. She came with her beautiful, pure consciousness to earth to teach us, to show us what we are truly. Like, we are divine beings, we have this divine connection, and we got lost. And she came to teach us, to remind us, because she comes from Divine Mother, right? She is the Divine Mother. She's just the representation of the divine through this vine, just like all the other spirits are the representation of divine energies. And she came to teach us all of this, and look at how we live. Like, I mean, this world is so distorted, and the people that are working with ayahuasca are so distorted. You can't almost trust anyone these days anymore. And even there in Peru or whatever, there are horrible things happening. And ayahuasca is there. She is living it. Each time that something bad is happening through a shaman, through facilitators or in the groups or whatever, she is living it. She's present. So she's absorbing all of that. And in her consciousness is also a lot of distortions as well. And sometimes she can get stuck. This is what she taught me. I don't know, but she taught me this. And I realized in that moment, I am in her consciousness. I am experiencing part of her that is living this horrible experience, and it expressed in all these moving parts and colors and everything. And then it was gone with beautiful music. So I was so traumatized that even when I went to Peru, I was so afraid to drink her there, because I always heard, like, once you are in Amazon, the medicine's so much stronger, and I was so afraid. So the first 5 ceremonies, I was really taking little bits, and she was just calming me down, and she was just, calming my nervous system and telling me, like, I really need you to relax. Like, you have been in so much stress and all the traumas from my past. And she was really lovingly and caringly taking care of this part of me that was so afraid of her. And by 5th ceremony, I was like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, I need to trust her. I need to surrender to her. So then I started to drink full cups again, and it was beautiful. But yeah, it's very important to understand that medicine can be very harsh sometimes. And it's very important to have people around you that can hold you if you are not experienced yet or you can't deal with it in your own. It's very important to seek somebody that understands more, or that at least can listen to you without judgment. Because when you had this experience, I didn't know either. Like, I was oh my God, like, part of you got lost somewhere. And in some way, based on all the things that I know and understand and learn, I'm thinking, no, it's not possible. It's not possible. But you were so serious about it that it was like frightening me as well.
It is possible. It happens.
Because we never know, right?
Yeah,
we are
that's the
here in
thing.
this world. We think we know everything. We know nothing. So this was very strong experience as well with you there. And so, one ceremony, ayahuasca actually taught me how to discern who is a good shaman or not. And she took me to this place. It was like a tunnel of all patterns and everything. And she let me experience I think, of how it feels when you are there as a shaman. She told me this is where the good shamans go, and she showed me like this tunnel and the shaman walking in a line, and everywhere were like little things like insects and everything, and the shaman would be taking them. It's like distortions, removing the distortions, and then at some point he would purge. And it was very intense. I was like, oh my God, I can't imagine to be here like every ceremony that, you know, the shaman is doing, that they are always there, because it was like so suffocating and so heavy, you know. But she told me a good shaman walks straight line. They don't let any temptations and distraction to distract them from what they are doing. And she showed me also, which was actually very sad situation, the person that we started to work with here in Mexico, that we trusted and that helped us a lot when we needed it most. And, you know, we laughed for who he was and what he was doing and what he represented for us. She showed me how she saw his great potential, because that's what she does. She finds people and she sees their potential and she chooses who she wants to work with. And she chose this person to work with because of the potential that he had, because of his partnership and the music talents and everything, and the way how he could, you know, help people heal during the ceremonies that were really incredible because of the music. And you could really experience the divine energy coming through that music. And she showed me how he was not exactly that. He was not a good shaman. He was no shaman at all, actually, because he doesn't have this code. He doesn't have this behavior code. And that's very sad, because we found out just before we went to this diet. And kind of everything broke from there. And she showed me how she chose him, and then she starts to offer to people the temptations in their life. And those who stay straight and they don't go into those temptations, they have the potential to become really good shamans. So, yeah, sad thing was that this trust was broke, not just for us, but for many other people. And makes sense, because after your last Dieta, when this all came out, makes sense what you've been through there, right?
Yeah, so this diet happened back in January of this year.
Here in Mexico.
Here in Mexico. And it was like the weirdest container I've ever like been a part of, like in a retreat setting. So a very important thing with diet is that there are specific rules that shamans have received from the plants that you need to follow to build a good relationship with those plants. And you know, it's with the food that you eat, you cannot have salt and oil and spicy foods, and you cannot be in contact with other people, or, you know, you're very much in isolation and very much like one-on-one with the plant. And a really important one is that you cannot have like any kind of intimacy with other people within the diet that are not in the diet, like no contact. And so this container that I was in January just felt really unclean. Like it was really messy. People didn't feel safe. People felt like a lot of heavy and hard emotions and were going through a lot of processes, and they didn't really understand why. And we later found out that the person who was leading the diet wasn't actually following the rules that he, as a leader, definitely should be following. And it just led to so much chaos within that container, you know. And me as a participant, like I was working with some really heavy traumas from like my childhood, and I tried to go to him and I didn't feel supported at all. And the reason for that was that he was just kind of there trying to get intimate with some of the other girls that were participating there. And yeah, it was just a very weird energy, and it broke a lot of trust in me that I had for him. And so in this container, in this diet, I was actually there with some friends from this area, and I know from them that some of them actually had to go to therapy to process what had happened in the diet, and there was other people that like struggled for months to get back to like themselves kind of, and to get back to like a happy state. They were just kind of living in this low frequency and vibration and not understanding at all why and like what happened and everything. So it's just, I think it's really important to know that like if a container of any retreat, but especially of a diet, is not safe, it's better to not do the diet, because I think it's almost worse.
Yeah, it is.
to do it like that than to not do it at all.
Yeah. And sometimes people choose to stay in places they don't really feel well because of the money, obviously. And in that moment, you didn't know what was happening there, because this person was our friend.
Yeah,
and it was like a little bit like even like our mentor, and a little bit like father figure to you, because you learned so much from him about the music and everything. And the worst thing was, after this retreat, I received a phone call from the owner of the center, and she told me what has happened really, and that he actually did have some intimacy with a girl, that he was pushing her to like surrender herself to him while his other lover was present all this time there, and they were like,
and they were friends together.
They were friends,
girls,
and so in that moment, all this truth about this person came out, which was shocking for us. And if I ever knew something, I would never keep working with this, because for me, integrity and like safe space and place where I bring people to in my retreat or whatever needs to be safe. And if I knew that this person had all kinds of issues around his identity and around his, sexuality, this was a big no for us. So we immediately stopped working with him, and I'm really grateful that we never ever had any difficulties, any issues or whatever, and it's sad that this happened, but I'm also grateful that it happened, because it prevented us from working with somebody that is not integral enough and doesn't really respect the medicine. This was for me really a big issue, that I realized, wow, all these beautiful things that he is sharing there in the space about how medicine this and medicine that, and I received all of this from medicine and blah, blah, blah. And then he goes and he breaks one rule after another, because he just doesn't have respect. And that's like something to really watch out for, and really find out if person that you want to work with.
That, and also
truly,
he doesn't have respect to the people that are in the container, because he's pushing someone to do something that shouldn't, like, it's a rule that he's breaking, but he's making her break as well.
Exactly. And we learned from, when you really work with good shamans, and they tell you the first thing, you have pre-diet and you have diet, and you have after the diet, same, you have at least half of the days that you've been dieting needs to be post-diet. So there are still restrictions in food, and it depends a little bit on the shaman. It's like, oh, you can eat everything again and drink coffee, just don't eat pork, and don't go near the blood, and don't go where newborns are, and don't have sex. Right? This is very important, because you are still connected, even the diet is already closed and broke. It's a little bit kind of disconnected. The work is disconnected, it's done, but you still are connected. You still have this container within you that should be sacred for you, for the plant to integrate what you learned and all of that. And the things like that can really mess you up emotionally and psychologically. And it's horrible. It's disrespect, and it's total lack of responsibility and egoism, because somebody, like pushing somebody to, okay, let's go, let's do it. And, you came here for a reason, and let's do this together and whatever. Just immediately the same night when you close the Dieta, when you disconnect from the plan. And I know the girl feels herself a victim now, but also it is her responsibility to say no. Like, I mean, you know what you are starting, and maybe you are weak, and maybe you are vulnerable in that space, and with the medicine or whatever. But I think people really need to be learn to be stronger, and have more will, and not just fall for the charisma and beauty and talent, or believing that they can get somewhere if they do this kind of thing. So but it's absolutely the responsibility of this person, and I'm sad about what happened. It changed a lot of our work and our way of working with the medicine as well. But I believe that no lies can live forever, and that everything is getting cleared this year, and that we have this new opportunity now, because in the moment that we had to take this decision, like, are we still going to work with this person or no, it was very clear, no, of course we would never do. And then new opportunities opened.
Thank you so much for joining and watching us. And if you like this, please subscribe, and we look forward to seeing you soon.